up, guys? Tambo here with your Week 4 core report. Our cores have been on fire this season, and our guy Hoop nailed the Week 4 strategy, stacking up the Lions and Seahawks game. Hoop went cheap at quarterback, rostering Geno Smith with the double stack of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He then went full onslaught for the game by adding Jamal Williams, TJ Hawkinson, and Josh Reynolds from the Detroit side. Hoop topped off his lineup with several one-offs, including Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and the Eagles D, racking up a score of 252 DraftKings points with a unique lineup that actually took out a 33-man dupe train, shipping the Hoopster $1 million in the Week 4 Millie Maker. Several of the players from Hoop's lineup appeared in his core plays and cash player pool provided to our premium members, who also had some pretty big weeks. MC won over 3K on DraftKings, Raholman hit for over 5K, Nika hit for over 6K, and Chase Addy NC shipped for over $45,000 on FanDuel. And Hoop isn't the only expert to hit big recently. JT Hayes hit for $20,000 in MLB last week. BigT hit once again, profiting over $33,000 on the NFL Week 4 afternoon slate. And our guy Locks had a huge night, shipping for over $213,000 on the Sunday night Showdown slate. You can watch all of our experts for free by visiting our YouTube channel and subscribing right now. For our premium content, where you can access all of our core plays, playbook, Discord, premium videos, and more, visit runpuresports.com and sign up for a membership today. At RPS, every sport is included for one low price. Sign up for our premium membership today, and let's keep running pure.
What up, everybody? We're back for a little special edition of the MLB Swing for the Fences show. We've got a special guest with us today, Mr. Grayson Greiner, pro ball player for the Detroit Tigers. Grayson, what's up, man?
You already got his wrong team out of the gate.
Did I get it wrong?
I'm a free agent now, so.
Oh, okay. Formerly of the Detroit
well, he was the
Tigers.
D-backs last year, I think. Yeah, I seen the D-backs for at least a couple games.
Yeah,
okay.
I was up for a couple games. Thank you guys for having me on. This is awesome.
He was a legend for the Tigers, though. You should have thrown that in. He hit some bombs for us at the Tigers.
Far from it.
I remember playing him for the Tigers and him
too.
coming through for me multiple times. So thank you very much for that. Now I can thank you in person. Yep. It's awesome to have you on. Guys, make sure you hit the thumbs up, the like button. Hit the subscribe, that red box at the bottom right-hand corner. Let's get those subscriptions up. Yeah, we come here. We're going to talk some we're going to talk some ball, just, the games, baseball, strategy and stuff like that. Get your takes on some of these series. But we want to also talk a little football, too, because the game last night was wild. So, Tony, I'll bring you in first. But what's going on with you? Good to, kind of get on with you guys and talk some sports.
Yeah, I was super excited yesterday. He was watching the show. And just from in the past, people that have watched the shows know that we've talked him up a few times as being like the punt catcher on slates. Everyone knows my son's name is Grayson, so I've always kind of felt a little bit of an attachment to him as a punt catcher. People know I like my punt catchers, especially for the Tigers, because they're always in decent matchups, it felt like. So I loved it when I seen he was watching one of our shows, and he loves fantasy. So last night we were talking a little bit. I was happy he could hop on the show, but yeah, into the football last night. I don't know. I felt it was a great game. First of all, it was nice because Thursday night was obviously one of the worst games anyone's ever watched. No excitement. But last night we got plenty of action. The Raiders, I always like it when you got a Chiefs stack and the Raiders go out 17-0. I didn't have Jacobs, obviously, but it was still a fun game. Tons of action. Devontae gets there at the end. The studs get there. Somehow Patrick Mahomes has 30 fantasy points and he doesn't even hit the winner. That's like pretty insane to me, but happy to talk some football and come on with you guys.
Yeah. So Grayson, I just want to get first your kind of take on, how you found us, how you got into like fantasy football. You were telling us before the show that a lot of the ball players are really into fantasy football and other fantasy sports and stuff. So kind of talk about that a little bit and how you kind of found us.
Yeah, football is my favorite sport. I mean, I tell my wife from Thursday night to Monday night, don't bother me. I'm watching football, some form, college, pro, whatever. I like watching playoff baseball, but when we're playing during the season, I'm not really watching a whole lot of baseball. But when football season hits, I'm a different animal. But kind of the way I came across Big T was I was watching in the past 5 weeks, I watched the Pat Mayo show. And I think one of y'all's guys, Toe Tag and Tambo, does it with him every week.
Yeah.
And so I usually just pull up a YouTube video to try and get some tips for the Showdown slates. And I came across Big T and I don't know the other guy's name.
JT yesterday.
JT, yeah. So I was watching the video, and at the bottom it had both of their Twitter handles. And I've been trying to follow people that have insight to DFS games. And I followed both of them, and Big T reached out and hooked me up with the membership. I was on y'all's website for about 5 hours during the game last night. I was on the Discord chat. Those guys are hilarious, but I'm trying to learn more about DFS. I'm a beginner compared to what you guys are. So it's really cool hearing you guys talk. I'm trying to learn the lingo of what certain things mean. I mean, I've been playing for a couple of years, but I'm certainly not an expert, but I'm trying to learn more. I make spreadsheets. I try and take these things down. I can never do it, but I just enjoy having something to follow when I'm watching, the big NFL slates on Sundays and the showdowns.
So you take this seriously. You get like spreadsheets out. I mean, you were
I do, but
your site for like 5 hours. You must have been trying to figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, I overthink it.
So what were you like? What was on the site yesterday? What were you kind of like really trying to look at and figure out how to use the content to help your game?
I went through every tab on the NFL at the top, kind of like the playbook and kind of what to look forward to each week. And it's really cool. The work y'all do is incredible. The community y'all created with the Discord is awesome. I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to following along, and hopefully I can win one of these things, but I got to make sure I'm not in the contest with you guys, because I don't think I can beat you guys.
Well, who knows? Maybe we'll get you there. We got a lot of members.
We can split one. We'll split one.
Tony, how many times has a member outdone you for a tournament? Like, it happens, right?
Tons of times. Yeah, tons of times. I'm making it our mission now to get him his first shipper. Nice thing is too, says he plays like just a couple bucks, nothing major, and none of the like big people can get in $3 or under. So you play those little stakes, no one can get in those puppies. So they're
I'll stay right there. Yeah, I'll stay right there. I can't be playing in the big ones.
Yeah, that is the good thing about those smaller dollars, though, that you do stay away from those guys until you feel like experienced enough to maybe play some higher dollar stuff, which as you start going, eventually you probably will like feel more comfortable and want to. But it seems to me you just kind of do it because you love sports. You want a little, something because you love
JSU. I think he's sandbagging us a little bit too.
I'm not.
He's clearly knowledgeable. I can tell he's knowledgeable.
If you could see my transaction history on DraftKings and FanDuel, you'd know that I'm not sandbagging.
Hey, listen, we get the ups and downs too, Grayson. Don't be fooled
and
here.
I'd like to formally apologize to anybody listening that has played me if I didn't help you win any money. Trust me, we try our best, and we want y'all to win. So
I'm excited to ask some baseball questions after we get done talking about the football, because we've always argued about some little stuff like BVP, different things. So I want to get some takes as we go through the baseball side.
Okay. Oh, I was ready for the BVP question.
Yeah, we got to get into that.
I don't even know what that is. Y'all got to tell me what that is.
We'll break it down for you in a sec. But
it's even better if you don't know what it is, because then it'll make the question better.
It'll be so good. So we'll stick to football last night. Tony, I'll start with you. Like, what did you see in the game? There was obviously so many calls. You actually put out a tweet, which after the roughing the passer call, and your tweet was, I couldn't have said it any better. And you tweeted it before all of the mayhem happened, where the Chiefs got away with murder multiple times on so many calls that they just got after that one horrible call.
I mean, that one was so egregious, though, just to talk about it. Like, so it was what, they were up 10? Were they up 10 at the time or 7? Whatever it was. Yeah. Either way, they were going to get the ball back with a minute left in the half. literally not even close to a penalty. He knocks the ball out. He barely drags him into the ground. It wasn't even that hard of a hit, honestly. They call a penalty, and then they go kick a field goal, which granted, it didn't matter a ton because then the Chiefs whacked a 59-yarder to end the half, but still, they would have had a chance to score a touchdown and chop into that lead and get the ball to start the second half. And instead, the freaking Raiders get a first down. It was just a horrific penalty. And then, yeah, I was on the Chiefs and heavy on the Chiefs in fantasy, but then they get every call, which obviously is a good thing if you're on the Chiefs side. They get literally every call the second half to make up for it. I think they just need to make it. You got to be able to challenge those calls, because you can't, if it gets to the playoffs, say it's a huge game in the playoffs and someone loses a game because of a penalty like that, that's egregious. These guys are working hard for 6 months, 8 months, a whole year, and they can't have it come down to a blown call like that. You have to be able to challenge anything that can change the game completely. You just have to be able to challenge it in some form. Yeah, you can't lose a game like that.
Well, this is good to go to Grayson now, because being a professional, athlete and playing professional ball, but like, how do you feel when you see someone, I mean, the work it takes to obviously get to that type of level, and to see a call that could drastically change the outcome in a game. How do you feel when you see something like that? Because you could take it to baseball if you wanted to, but just in football, obviously, it's got to be tough watching as a pro.
Yeah. Well, something y'all don't know is I'm a diehard New Orleans Saints fan.
Ooh.
So a couple years ago when the play against the Rams, I had Super Bowl tickets in hand. Super Bowl was in Tampa that year, I believe, and our spring training was in Lakeland. And I was going to the game, and that play happened. And obviously the next year they did the ability to review pass interference calls, and that went terribly. I just think that the NFL, it's tough. It's a lot tougher. Baseball is trying different things to make sure that the calls get right. In AAA this past year, I was in AAA most of the year. We had the automatic strike zone, and they were experimenting with that just to try and even the playing field to make.
What'd you think of that? Not to change the subject. What'd you think though?
It was,
as a guy that's going to frame pitches and stuff, you're used to it.
Yeah,
your whole
it was
career.
Interesting just because I love the art of pitch framing. It's something I've worked on my entire life as a catcher, and all catchers work on it. And once I think May 24th, they implemented full-time the automatic strike zone. And I mean, honestly, with nobody on, we kind of just sat on a knee and made sure that we didn't even have to catch the ball. I mean, we didn't have to focus on it at all. It was just the umpire had a buzzer in his ear, and he either said strike or ball. And with runners on base, all I had to worry about was blocking balls in the dirt and throwing. I didn't have to worry about receiving the ball or working on that. And as a hitter, I kind of liked it. You knew where the corners were. You knew what your height was. They measured you before the season. It was like 27.5% of your height was the bottom of the zone, and 52.5% of your height was the top of the zone, which was very interesting. And it made it an even playing field. But I think it needs some work before it goes to the major league level. We'll see if that happens in the next couple of years. But I do know that in the AAA playoffs, there was a challenge system. So what they did was the umpire called balls and strikes like they normally would. And if the batter or the pitcher disagreed, they had each team had 3 challenges for the game. And if you got it right, you got to keep one of your challenges. And if you got it wrong, you lost it. And it could only be player initiated. So it was very interesting just to see what baseball is experimenting with. But long story short, to answer your question, it is tough as a player sometimes when the outcome of the game is taken out of your hands.
That's got to be different for you though, just as a catcher and growing up as a catcher and working on your whole life, probably like framing pitches and that being a huge part of the game. Like that plays a huge part in the game, into almost like all of a sudden just be like, nope, that's taken away. In a way, it's like, okay, now I don't have to think about it, but that's something you're just probably so used to doing. That was probably hard for you, right?
Are you still catching yourself like moving the glove?
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, in AAA, you're one call away, so you still have to work on it. Yeah. You can't go 80 games in AAA being lazy back there. Hey, we need you in the big leagues, and you haven't worked on receiving or framing for 3 months. So we're still working on it in games. Our staff wanted us to continue to present the ball well like we would if we were in the major leagues. But yeah, it's tough. As a fan of baseball, a guy who loves baseball, watching games on TV and watching, some of the best receiving catchers, guys like Trevino with the Yankees, guys that really take pride in what they do back there and make a difference in the game. And we're going to see it in the playoffs. The umpires that work these games are the best in the world, but these catchers can still, if you can win one strike per game as a catcher, it could be the difference in a win or a loss, in that big situation. So I think if you take that out, it kind of takes for me as a catcher, it takes the art of receiving and the art of framing out of it. But it seems like that might be the way the game is going with the technology we have these days.
Yeah, so bringing it back to football here for a second, what'd you think of the end outcome of last night's game? Obviously, I think the penalty at the end of that first half played a huge factor in my mind in the second half and some of the calls that were maybe given to,
for sure.
The refs, I had never heard anything like what I was hearing. They were getting booed for like 15 minutes straight after that call. I mean, ref, you suck was being chanted during their own kicker's 59-yard field goal. They were chanting it so loud. I'm like, this is their own team. They're chanting to the ref. I'm like, dude, you're not going to stop and let this guy kick. He made the kick, which was awesome. But like, it was just funny. I never seen something in my mind that crazy like that, where fans were just insane.
Yeah. I mean, referees, umpires, they all have thankless jobs. They can never do right. But to be fair, that ref in the passer call was that one and the one that Grady Jarrett had on Tom Brady on Sunday. Those were two of the worst ones I've seen in a long time. They could have both cost both
games. I mean,
right. It's just,
yeah.
I saw my hero, Drew Brees. I saw him tweet about how, that needs to be a reviewable play because it has such a big outcome. It could have a huge outcome on the game. And, I do think you're right, JSU. I think it affected calls for the second half of the game. Those referees didn't want to hear any more boos from the Arrowhead crowd, I don't think. And I think it got to them a little bit. It sounded on my TV. It sounded like it was crazy loud in there. The Raiders had a tough time communicating. There were some false starts and everything. And it was just, that's one of the perks of being at home. If that game is in Las Vegas, it could be a different story. But Arrowhead's one of the rowdiest crowds in the NFL, and I think they played a huge part in the Chiefs winning that game. Now we got a huge 4-1 Chiefs, 4-1 Bills game this Sunday. I think a lot of people will be targeting that one.
Where's that game at? I actually hadn't looked at. Is it in KC?
I hope it's in KC. I'll look it up real quick.
I think it is, but
Tony, I want you to talk real quick about the 2-point conversions, though. I'm sorry, the 2-point attempts, because you talked about it before we hopped on, that it was the right thing to do. I especially think giving the ball to Jacobs was 100%. If you're going for it for two, the man was not able to be stopped that entire game. It's just so happens the one time they stopped him was pretty much for that 2-point conversion. But talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's in DFS Twitter in that world, like, we're all kind of in a bubble. But for the last 2-3 years, everyone talks about these 2-point conversions, when you should go, when you shouldn't go, what's right, what's wrong. So the Chiefs score to go up 7. I thought it's just an incredibly sharp 2. A lot of teams don't do it. 99% of the teams just kick the extra point, go up 8, make the other team score and get the 2 to tie. If you're in the fourth quarter and you're in a game like this, try to go to 2 possessions. It was super sharp. They didn't get it. It didn't work out. So then all the people second guess, you shouldn't have done it, blah, blah, blah. But incredibly sharp, because they would have gone up 2 possessions. So that first. And then on top of it, the Raiders go score. And they have a chance to tie and go to overtime or whatever. And they say, okay, we'll go for 2-2, which I also think is incredibly sharp. You're playing Patrick Mahomes. Try to get that win. Try to get that lead. There was still time left. Pat could have still gone and done something for sure. But you'd have that lead, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I wish more teams would do stuff like this. Go for it. How about to start the game? We didn't get to that, but 4th and 1, 40-yard line. We always want teams to go for it. Play action. Everybody thinks they're going to run Jacobs. Play action, bomb that sets the whole tone of the game right there. If you punt, who knows what happens? They could go down and score 7-0 the other way. You get all the momentum early. Just great play calling. We always kill these coaches in the days with Twitter now. we kill all these teams like, oh, this coach is the worst, this player's the worst, this guy's the worst. When they do smart stuff, we gotta talk about that too and build it up the other way. Some good mojo that aspect. They made good decisions, and that's not being results oriented because neither team got it. And they were both good decisions, though. I loved both of them. Thought it was a well played game all the way around, and I enjoyed it.
When you play quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I've been saying this for 2.5 years now about Kansas City in general. When teams play Kansas City, if you're not going for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, when you're at that 40, 50 yard line, somewhere around there, you're just playing to lose, I think, because you need to try and bleed the clock. You need to keep your offense on the field, keep their offense on the sideline as much as possible. And that's the way to do it. It's the way to beat it. I think they played to win in that game, Tony. It didn't work out for them, obviously, because like we said, they didn't capitalize on, the very end of the game, but I think they still played in the end. I think they should say we shouldn't have played anything differently. If they were good enough to win the game,
1,000,000%. I mean, Devontae Adams was a bobble away from being in field goal range. Carlson's a great kicker. He's going to make the kick. Like, they're literally a fingertip away from winning in Kansas City. And I love Kansas City. I thought they'd blow them out. I was wrong. Everything went perfect. They easily could have won that football game.
I will say Derek Carr, 2 underthrown balls that got the PIs to Devontae. He's mastered that apparently because one of them, Devontae jumped back into the defender and pulled him. But
do you think he does it on purpose, or do you think he just has a noodle arm?
I think that was a noodle arm. But that dime he threw at the end to Devontae on the double move, that was a dime on the run, stepping up in the pocket.
That was definitely a dime.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better throw than that.
It dropped right in the bucket.
So Grayson, final thoughts. I mean, obviously, what was your take on the 2-point plays, going for it on 4th down? Did you like it? Like, obviously, the outcome, but what'd you think at that moment?
I think that's the right call. You're on the road. You're playing against Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. You got to be aggressive. You can't play to not lose. You got to play to win that game. And I like the calls. If they work out, the guy McDaniels looks like a genius. If they don't work out, they don't work out. But you got to be aggressive there. Sometimes there's too aggressive. I remember watching the Chargers. Staley, he's the most aggressive coach in the NFL. I think they were at like their own 32, and it was like 4th and 10 on Sunday, and he went for it and didn't get it or something like that. But I agree with the calls last night. It didn't work out. And, y'all are right about that last throw by Carr. I think it was like 55 yards in the air off the wrong foot while running. It was crazy. Just right in the breadbasket. But it was a really exciting game. We've had some not so exciting games in prime time, so it was nice to see an exciting game last night.
Yeah, it was good to see a non-kicker defense battle for once, like it was nice to see some scoring and everything like that. I will say too, Grayson, just so you know, you're a Saints fan, which I'm sorry, it's tough right now. JSU,
hey, 2 and 3.
Also tough for me because I bet the Saints. Tony makes fun of me every show. He makes fun of me.
He picked the Saints to go to the Super Bowl this year.
I put money on it too. That's just how
I hope you're right.
So yeah,
we need to pick it up a little bit.
Hopefully everyone comes back. We get a little healthier for football, and we
need Thomas back. Olave's been impressive.
I know one guy that's healthy, Mr. Taysom Hill, baby.
Yeah. Oh God, there we go.
Yes, sir. 4 touchdowns.
About that. But
so
I will say one thing before you go.
Go ahead.
Just to say this, Chris Olave, that catch where he hit the ground and got
I know.
He went out, right? He just went.
How was that a catch? Speaking of reviewable calls, how did it hold up?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. The ground caused him to get knocked out. So you think that shouldn't have been a catch? This is
it looked like the ball was just laying on the ground to me in a way. Like,
I thought he
and I wanted it. I
and
had
the
Olave,
ground
so I'm
knocked him
not
out.
partial.
Well, I didn't have him either way, so it didn't matter to me.
You thought he caught it,
I
though?
thought he caught it in the ground, like just knocked him cold. And how do you hold the ball once you get knocked out cold by the ground?
Penalize the D, though, for him being out, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's true, I guess. I don't know.
He
So
could
you
have
didn't
got
think
it. I
was
mean,
a catch?
it got held up against review, so you're probably right. It just, to me, looked like the ball was laying on the ground, and I wanted it, so I was happy they held it up.
What'd you think, Grayson? Did you think it was a catch or?
Biased, I thought it was a catch.
I like that.
I'll always say it's a catch.
Yeah.
All right, go with your taste of
You're allowed
thought.
to get calls anyways, because like you said a couple years ago, that was the worst playoff call of all time.
God.
I mean, that was brutal.
Well, it was that, and then the year before was the Minneapolis Miracle. So it was a tough 2-year stretch.
Forgot about that.
Oh,
Yeah. But my Taysom comment was I play in a fantasy league where tight ends are team tight ends.
Oh.
And Taysom is considered a tight end, I guess, in that league.
Yeah.
So he had the 4 touchdowns, and his 1 passing touchdown was to another tight end. So he got
he got the double dipper.
He got 5 touchdowns, and I still won that league somehow. But
and 100 yards rushing from a freaking
100
tight
yards.
end.
Yeah, I mean, he got. I think the team tight ends in that league had like 68 points, which was nuts, just because it's a high scoring league. And but luckily, I have Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs and Mahomes, so I ended up winning that one by like 8 points, I think.
If you got those 3 and Taysom's getting you 105, you're gonna make somebody retire from fantasy.
Yeah, it's a.
Can we make him a
league.
running back? Can we just make him a running back? Like,
That's what I'm saying. He
He
never catches the ball. He's either lined up at quarterback throwing or he's running. So I don't know
why
why
is he listed as a quarterback too, which annoys me also, because I want to play him as a Taysom fan, and you can't play him at quarterback, even though he would have been the optimal this week. I'll say he was the highest scoring quarterback, I think, or close to it.
Or he was right there with Josh Allen.
He was in the optimal, is all I know. Yeah. He might not have outscored him, but with Price,
they should make it where you can only play him at flex.
Yeah,
that's kind of what he is. He's just a utility guy.
I think that would be a good rule too. Anything to where you can play him somewhere besides quarterback, because how are you going to play? You just can't. Like, he doesn't play quarterback. He's going to get 7 snaps a game tops.
Right.
Well,
with the ball.
It was like Cordero Patterson, last year when he went from wide receiver to running back to wide receiver, and then he was a running back, and he would legitimately play wide receiver a little bit and running back. Okay. But now he's mainly a running back, and they would switch it. It's like, okay, pick a position. If he plays majority of the time in the backfield, he should be a running back. If he plays majority of the time out wide, he should be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it should be. But Taysom Hill is a running back. Like, he is not a quarterback. He's a
beast
back.
too. Like, we're talking just football here. Taysom. Like, the dude literally was in there on special teams. He had like 70 yards returns. He almost blocked a punt. And then to salt the game away at the end, he's lead blocking in there. Are you kidding me? How do people think this dude isn't a stud?
He's awesome.
He's just a football player. Like, he's just he's not.
He's what people wanted Tebow to be. Like, that's what he is.
And he's every coach's dream, right? He'll do whatever you ask him to do. He's gonna block. He's gonna run it. He catch it, throw whatever.
He's gonna throw you a damn touchdown.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel confident we could line him up at middle linebacker and he'd get 10 tackles.
Definitely.
That guy's he knows how to play football.
He doesn't play defense. He'd probably blow some people.
Might as well put him in there for a few plays at linebacker. See what he does.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely fast enough. He can definitely hit some people. That's for sure. Anything else on football before we transition to the baseball talk? I want to get BVP takes. I want to get takes on the games and the series.
Especially because he doesn't know it's coming yet.
Yeah. All right. So let's transition over. But we want to talk, obviously, today's games, just the series going forward. But anything on the past few games? Any games? I mean, the Mariners coming back. You had the Guardians game going into like 15 innings, and I think it was Oscar who hit the bomb for them.
We got the too small from him too. He walked him off and gave him the too small after second base. I love the too small.
So you want to go to that game first? That's Tony's favorite thing, when players give the too small.
Oh, I love the too small. I like when they talk shit too. And now that we got an actual professional athlete on here with us, what do you think about like bat flips and freaking taunting? Dude hits a walk off in the 15th to move on. Shoots the jumper too, crossing second base. The jumper and then the too small. What do you think about stuff like that? You have to like it as a player,
to be
right?
fair, I played against Oscar in AAA. I want to say last year, maybe when he was in Columbus, I was in Toledo, and I'm 6'6", about 240, and he makes me look tiny. I mean, he makes everybody look small. He's huge.
So he can do whatever he wants.
Oh, he's gigantic. I don't know his dimensions exactly, but my guess is he's at least 6'7".
If you're 6'6", 240, and he's bigger than you, he's a big boy.
But that was a great series. The Cleveland's pitching it's been amazing for years. They just continue to churn out good pitching, and it was a great series. The Seattle story obviously is incredible with them not being in the playoffs for 20, 21 years. That city is just going nuts right now watching the Mariners. It was a really good wild card series. I think it would have been really exciting to see the Mets move on, just because they haven't had a deep playoff run in a while, and their team is has a lot of star-in talent. What was the fourth one? Phillies. Yeah, Phillies and Cardinals. That was a good series, just with the nostalgia, Yachty and Wainwright and Pujols. And the Phillies, had a great comeback to win that series. It was a really exciting wild card weekend. There weren't any boring series, I don't think. It was a lot of fun to watch. I sprinkled back and forth between college football and NFL, back to baseball. It was a good sports weekend in general, just to sit on the couch and watch some really good sports going on. October is the best time of the month.
I got a
MLB
question for
playoff.
you. If you could watch only one, and it's the World Series or a football game, like Monday night, Thursday night football, Sunday night football, what are you watching? If you had to pick one.
Man, that's tough.
So you're
allowed
are
to
a
say you like
fan.
watching football better.
You are a football fan, because most people wouldn't even
football.
think.
I love football. I'd probably watch football, and during commercials, go check the score of the World Series.
Good thing is we're allowed multiple TVs these days. We're allowed to have them both on.
Yeah, I'd have them both on, or at least one on the iPad. Probably football on the TV, World Series on the iPad.
I like that.
All right, I like that. You're a football
You don't need to
guy.
follow baseball as close
football.
either. Like, you can have baseball on a secondary spot. Pay attention to what's going on, but you don't have to watch every pitch.
If it's a big moment, bases loaded, bottom eighth,
yeah,
I'll flip that on. But baseball's, it's not as fast paced, so you can kind of have it on as background. And if something big's coming on, just flip it over to that.
Did we get in the chat? They said, did we get a baseball or a birthday narrative? Did you come on your birthday?
Yeah, my 30th birthday.
Oh, baby, your 30th birthday too?
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah,
all right.
My wife's at the gym. My kids are at school, so timing worked out pretty well. I'm just hanging out at home.
Oh,
awesome. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Big plans tonight? You got big plans?
Aren't you 30 too? JSU, aren't you 30 as well?
31. I'm 31.
Oh, 31.
You got me.
Same thing.
My son has it's either soccer or t-ball. He's got a game tonight. Go watch that, and then go grab dinner with the family.
How many kids you got?
I got 2 boys, 4 and 1.
Any Grayson? Any Grayson Jr.?
No, Hudson and Hayes. No.
Okay.
Hudson and Hayes.
Cool.
Like that.
All right. So let's get into these series. I want to get the BVP take. So Tony, lay out for Grayson BVP just in general. Maybe someone who's watching doesn't really know it either. I think we say it all the time, and we just assume people know what we're talking about too. So lay it out for the people, and then give them tee it up for them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we should do a better job anyways on our shows, because we always just assume in our heads everyone's in the bubble, everyone knows all our lingo. It's like Grayson said at the beginning of the show, he's trying to learn the lingo and stuff. We don't always. I'm the worst at it, because I just always go with, I don't know. I don't think ahead of that stuff. But BVP, we've talked about it forever in fantasy stuff. Batter versus pitcher, the history. So today you got little samples I think, who was it earlier? They were talking in chat. Harrison Bader's 3 for 3 off Quantrill and 1 bomb. So small sample. Other guys I can't remember who else. Carlos Santana today, massive sample against Verlander, 100 at bats. He's got 9 bombs, but also a bunch of strikeouts.
Right.
How much as a player, when you go into a matchup, but you've seen pitchers, I'm sure you've seen guys that have owned you, also guys you might feel comfortable against. How much do you weigh it as a player?
Oh, for sure. I mean, as a player, we're 7 o'clock game. We're getting to the field at noon, 1. We got our iPads, we got our scouting reports. We know who's starting that night. If I'm in the starting lineup, I'm going to watch past video of me against that pitcher. I'm going to see how he attacked me. And, this is our job. We're professionals. We want to have any advantage we can get and just know how that guy's going to attack me. And yeah, I mean, it's not like we're going up there blind with, not doing our research. And we just want to, we want to know what to expect. And he could change that up. Hitting's the hardest thing in the world to do because we don't know what that guy's going to throw, and we don't know where he's going to throw it or when he's going to throw it. So, for these matchups, I especially in the playoff level, these guys are going to be locked in on the pitcher side and on the hitter side. So there's going to be a lot of really good matchups this postseason.
So you're saying pretty much that like both pitcher and hitter, they kind of have an idea of the numbers, how they've done, maybe recently, how they've attacked.
I wouldn't necessarily say the numbers, but
okay.
I mean, they might know if they're 0 for 10 off a guy or 5 for 10 off a
Right.
guy. They're going to know if they've had success or not had success off a guy.
Yeah,
there has
they
to be
might not
guys
know
you go up
exactly.
there and you just know I got this guy's number. I'm telling you, I'm going to hit him hard. Or the vice versa. Maybe this guy throws whatever off speed stuff that bothers you. Like this is going to be a tough at bat tonight.
Right. Yeah. You going in whether it's going to be you don't know, but you have an idea that you might have a chance to have a good night, or it's going to be a struggle. You gotta grind out at bats, try and work a walk, try and, grind out and get a hit. But, it's the playoffs. Every pitcher is really good. All the lineups are good. It's just fun baseball this time of year.
All right. So I think that's somewhat validating, Tony. I would just say, because there's people in the camp of BVP, and then there's people that
some people like swear against it too.
Swear
like
against
it doesn't matter. It's all random. It's blah, blah, blah. No one. And you have big samples. I agree. I'm kind of in the middle. Some of them though, I definitely think matters. Like sometimes you'll see guys like whatever the numbers are, 10 for 27 with 4 bombs or something. Like there's and splits. That's one more thing we could just go into real quick. Like people make fun of me all year because one of my things is tons of guys that just kill lefties or kill righties and they suck versus the other side of the plate. They always call me Big Platoon during baseball because of how much I like this stuff. How much does this stuff matter? Like just guys that just hit lefties or hit righties and they just can't hit the other side of the plate.
I think that matters a lot. It's a lot harder, obviously, to hit same side, in my opinion, right on right, left on left. That's why in the past there were lefty specialists, and now with the 3-batter minimum rule, it makes that a little harder, and it makes it a little more challenging on managers to play those matchups because you got to leave a guy in for 3 batters. But it's certainly hard. There's guys that really specialize in, hitting lefties or hitting righties, and we managers know those numbers going into games, and in games with such high magnitudes as the playoffs, those decisions get magnified as well.
It's funny that I just used that example. I swear this was totally off my head. 10 for 27 with 4 bombs. Is that what I said? Because the dude in the chat
said, yep,
totally off my head. And then the dude said it was Machado. So I pulled it up today. He's literally 10 for 27 with 4 bombs off of Urias tonight. That's crazy.
BVP and Big Platoon coming in strong.
I swear I didn't look either. That was totally random. I wouldn't have even known if the dude didn't say it.
That sounds like a random guess, I would say.
Maybe I saw it. Maybe it was one of those things I was reading Discord earlier, though, and it saw it without realizing I saw it. And then it just said, because that's too weird to just be totally on.
You definitely saw that somewhere today.
I had to have, right?
There's so much information going on in that Discord. You don't know how many things you see where you just kind of like scroll through it.
It had to be one of those things.
You don't fully read it, but you like kind of see it. It's just the Discord's always popping in there. So if you're not a member, get in the Discord. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Grayson came in on his birthday to do this show. 10 a.m. It's his birthday today. And Grayson, we got people in the chat. They're making fun of me. They're saying Grayson looks better at 30 than JSU does at 31. Fine, whatever. Grayson looks better at 31.
Of course he looks better.
Professional. That's fine. I'll be down here and he can be up here. I'm short, so Grayson's tall anyway, so that kind of works in both ways, but I'm fine with it. The man's birthday's today. Give him the love. So,
and I always say you're not allowed to celebrate birthdays except the 10s. He's on the 10, even on the 30 ball.
I'm not celebrating today. I'm in my 30s now. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, we stopped celebrating birthdays after like 21 anyways.
Yeah,
Let's stop.
yeah.
Let's stop with all that. Like 21's the last birthday people really celebrate. In my mind, anyways. That's how
I'm with you there.
But all right, let's get into these series, guys. Let's just talk about, what we think's going to happen in the series, who we think kind of comes out of it. And we might as well just start. Let's start with the Verlander, Houston, and was it
Start
Seattle,
with that
right?
first game because we got 2 lineups. It's nice that
we do
got
have the two lineups
early here.
So the Philly Atlanta game. All right, well, let's start with that. Okay, so let's start with the Philly Atlanta game. Tony, let's get your thoughts on this series just as a whole before we get into lineups or anything.
First of all, just in general, you got the 4 teams that didn't play the wild card. They're all decent favorites, and for good reason. I mean, you got the 4 best teams: Houston, the Yankees, Dodgers, and Atlanta. I mean, pretty much the 4 best teams most of the year, obviously, because they had the buys too into this round. But I think in the National League, just in general, it's going to be hard to beat the Braves and Dodgers. They have just the best teams, and I'm not super in love with the Padres and Phillies, but it's baseball. You never know. These teams get hot. San Diego just knocked off Max Scherzer, made him look basic, and I don't know. I like both favorites, though, in the National League. In the American League, though, like Grayson said, the Indians are just a gritty team. Pitching, hitting, they're just gritty. They just grind. And the Yankees are the opposite. Long ball, pitching, kind of different dimensions. I like how the Indians, or the Guardians, I should say these days, match up with the Yankees. So I think we could see an upset. And I'm not picking against Seattle. They treated me good last round. Down whatever it was, 7-0, I think, 9-2. 8-1, whatever it was just crazy comeback. They just have mojo. I believe in baseball playoff mojo. We've seen it my whole lifetime. When teams get hot, they are a tough out in the playoffs. So overall, that's where I'm at in the series. But just I would take the favorites in the National. I might take both dogs in the American League, though. The Guardians and the Mariners.
Yeah, it's funny. I wanted to start with the Mariners game because I like the Mariners in the series. I really like them. I like that catcher, Cal Raleigh, the young kid they got a catcher too.
Stud.
He's a stud, and he was huge in that comeback. He just kept getting on base, kept getting hits, hitting it the other way, just like he was so good. But Grayson, let's get your take on these series. Start obviously with Philly and Atlanta, and just kind of work your way through on who you think advances.
Yeah, like Big T was saying, the cool thing about baseball playoffs is you find that hot team that can go on a magical run, and there's really no stopping them. We saw it last year with the Braves. They were, I think, below 500 halfway through the year, and they ended up winning the World Series. We saw it in 2019 with the Nationals, same thing. They weren't the favorite before the playoffs started, and they win the whole thing and go and beat the Astros in the World Series. So anything can happen. The first series, the Braves and Phillies, divisional teams, they know each other really well. I've had I got to play in Atlanta. I'm from South Carolina, Columbia, which is really close. So I had a lot of family and friends there, and that park is just incredible. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but if you haven't, I would suggest go check out a game. Those fans are going to be rocking. That place is going to be packed. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Braves have a really good team. They've had a really good team for the last couple of years. They're going to be good for a long time too. They've locked up a lot of their young players for a long time. I see them being a tough out. The Astros and Mariners. The Astros have kind of been the cream of the crop of the AL for the last couple of years, but like you said, the Mariners have that magical mojo going right now. Speaking of stadiums that are going to be rocking, the Seattle park's might be crazier than Atlanta. The Seattle
got to be number one, right, for the play. Just as far as atmosphere, they got to be number one.
We played in a regular series game there in 2018, and that instantly became my favorite trip that I've been on. Just from the city.
Felix still pitching then when he had like the whole army out in the stands that would go nuts every time he'd pitch?
He might have been on the team. I don't think we faced him though. Yeah. Actually, yeah, we did. I think we did the last game. I didn't play that game. But that park, we played there on a weekend. It was sold out every night, and it was just one of the coolest atmospheres I've ever played in. So that place is going to be rocking. Houston's going to be rocking. That's probably the series I'm most looking forward to watching out of the four. The Yankees and the Guardians, that's going to be, like you said, kind of the defense, small ball, speed pitching team versus the big boppers with Judge and Stanton. It's going to be cool to see the two different types of baseball going at it. I can see that one going. Are the division series 5 or 7? They're 5,
I
right?
think.
They're 5,
Yeah, I
I'm
could see
pretty
that one
sure.
going. I could see that one going 5 games. And then the Dodgers are just so loaded, won 111 games, I think it is. But that's another one where both teams know each other really well. Division series, anything can happen. So I think it's just a lot of really cool storylines for all 4 of the series. And, I don't know necessarily if we're going to see Braves, Astros, Yankees, Dodgers, where it's the 4 favorites. I think maybe we might see something crazy happen. It's the playoffs in Major League Baseball. So it's always exciting, and it's always, something crazy usually happens. It never usually goes to script.
Yeah, it's hard to go against those Dodgers though, man. They are so loaded, but
Loaded.
You never
Just
know.
as far as excitement, I think Seattle versus the Yankees would be just amazing to go to the World Series. And Braves Dodgers, like if those were the final 4, like that's max like excitement level for baseball in general to me.
I think the nostalgia of the Yankees Mariners would be cool just for guys our age. I mean, growing up, It was Griffey and Jeter, and seeing those teams go at it back in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Ken Griffey was why I played baseball. Like Ken Griffey was
every
literally
kid,
why
every
I played
kid
baseball.
loves the backwards hat, hitting
Griffey.
bombs.
Yeah, like
everyone
that's who
loves
you
Griffey.
wanted to you saw him play and you were just like, man, I want to go hit a ball. And he was just so good. And for sure. I love that. Tony, did you want to get it all into the lineups just a little bit?
No, I mean, I guess it didn't really matter. The lineups were the normal, but like Grayson said, I mean, this Atlanta lineup, I don't know how they got everyone signed for a long time too, like he said.
Mm-hmm.
This lineup's just nasty. Just as far as pure lineups, I mean, look at all 8 teams. It's not even close to Atlanta in my mind. Like even the Dodgers lineup is probably better at the top, but all 9 guys, if you're weighing all 9 top to bottom, I don't see anyone even close to these 8 teams to the Braves. I mean, they're loaded. You can put Michael Harris, like we've talked about all year, down at the bottom of that lineup. It's just that guy's a stud. And you look at a lot of these other teams, even the Yankees, the Astros. I mean, you got like Chas McCormick and Martin Maldonado. I mean, these guys, they can't hit at the bottom of these lineups. So I don't know. I'm excited though. We talked about it at the beginning. I love the baseball playoffs. It gets a little boring towards the end of the season, but playoffs, I love it. I love watching it. Always have. Watch every one of these games. And now I'm even more excited. We got a professional on here to break it down a little bit with us.
Yeah, get a little more insight on the games. Grayson, was there any team you hated or as a player hated playing, just hated going there or anything like that?
What's your favorite park to go to?
Favorite park, just park alone, probably Fenway. Just the history of it.
And least favorite to JSU's.
Fenway is my favorite. I had a couple good games there too, which was really cool.
If you're a free agent, you probably don't want to say anyone's your least favorite, though.
No, I don't want to say anything. I want a job.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But like I said earlier, my favorite just experience with the city, the atmosphere, everything was probably Seattle. It was really cool. I had never been. I'm an East Coast guy from South Carolina. I had never been to the West Coast, and my first trip was to Seattle to play there, and it was just awesome.
Seattle's such a cool town too. I've
never been, but it does seem cool. And
I mean, they just get behind their team so well. With the Seahawks, it's crazy. It looks like with the 12s and
how did they take the NBA team away from there? I know everyone talks about it every year, but it's egregious.
Yeah, it's a great sports town.
The Supersonics. Oh God, I love their jerseys too. They were great. Another thing back when we were young that we had.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else here with the baseball as a whole, Tony? I mean, we got this guy on. We appreciate him coming on with us, obviously. Yeah. Or Grayson, anything from a DFS side for like football? You said you play fantasy basketball too. Like, are you gonna be checking
Fantasy
out
basketball, not to choke our own chain, Grayson, but basketball is our best one. If you like fantasy
Really?
basketball, you're going to love Run Pure because we do an up to lock show literally every day. And obviously basketball, as you know, from watching and playing the last couple of years, like it's all late news. So we'll be on up to lock, like breaking down the injuries and who's in, who's out. Oh, you're going to love it. I promise.
Basketball's a little harder. You know, with kids, you know, you might be making dinner or putting them in bed and you miss Giannis is out all of a sudden, and now your whole lineup.
Get that Discord up. I'm telling you, you're gonna like it this year. And that Run Pure Discord.
I'll just need. I might not be able to mute my notifications when it's close to
around
NBA,
those key NBA times.
The good thing is though, you can keep your
NBA.
notifications on for like Underdog or whatever to make sure you get those as quick as if you're not getting those notifications, get them for NBA because they're the quickest. Right, Tony? It's Underdog, right? They're like the quickest with the injury notifications that way, like, or the Discord. We put them in as fast as possible. We get them pretty much right when they send them out, but like they're the quickest if you just want it right to your phone and you don't want the Discord million messages coming to your phone like crazy. Like, so.
Yeah, I might be hitting you guys. I might be hitting you guys up with some questions over the.
I'm making it my personal mission in life to get you a shipper. I'm excited for it.
That's
just hearing your excitement around DFS. I want to get you in there dialed.
It's fun, man. I was an accounting major in college, so I just love the math side of it with salaries, making things work, making things fit in with the value, and learning about all the stuff. So it's a fun hobby. But like I said, I just keep it kind of small and just a little side hobby to enjoy watching the games even more than I already do.
It's even better that way. Anyway, we say this all the time on these shows. I tell literally everyone that's the best part of DFS. It's not about the amount. You can put literally a quarter in some of these contests.
And
gives you something to root on, and you have upside. You can win a couple $100 off a quarter. I mean, it's the best.
Yeah, as athletes, we have those competitive juices that we always have to satisfy somehow. So it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, when you're not playing, it's another thing you can do to get a little competition, different sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's our off season right now. So we got 4 months of not being able to play or compete. So we golf.
You're gonna
find
love it.
ways to compete.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I've checked it out a lot last night. I can already tell I like it a lot.
If there's any questions too, you can always shoot us DMs or anything like that. You got any questions? Was there anything Tony said on the show yesterday that was a little confusing? Because Tony speaks in lingo of DFS.
Don't be making fun of me.
Well, I've been watching.
No, he does. So it's sometimes hard when you're newer.
Like I said, I've been watching Mayo and Toe Tapper.
Toe Tapper. I like Toe Tapper. That's a good name.
You can call him Tambo, your favorite Canadian.
Call him Tyler.
I don't know if he is, but Tyler.
Every time he hops on with Mayo, he talks about how he won 130 grand or something the previous week.
What he does.
This guy knows what he's talking about. But I've been picking up some of their lingo every week. I know what chalk means. I know what's some other one? MME. What's that? The max entry. I learned their strategy on 20 entry max, some 3 entry max. So trying to learn how it all works and what the best way to give yourself a chance to win is.
Well, if there's any pieces of content that we can help you better understand or help you apply it to your DFS,
I'm not gonna bother you guys. Y'all do a great job already.
Tony, talk some sense.
I told you it's my personal mission. I'm getting him to the winner's circle for sure.
I hope so.
He's serious. Don't think he's joking either.
I love this guy. He's got my freaking son's name's Grayson. He's hit bombs for me.
How did you spell your son's name?
Same way as you. Yeah. I get mad when people spell it with an E.
It's the only way to spell it. What do you mean?
I see it with an E.
People spell it with an E. It's annoying.
Some people spell it GRACYN or GRACEN. Yeah, I've seen some different spellings on it.
To me, it's got to be this way. I mean, just the way you and my son. I like it. Even last week, though, we'll have like family members that spell his name wrong. He had his birthday last week, and this family member spelling it wrong is crazy.
They just assume it's like the different way to spell it nowadays. Like, come on, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
Grayson. That's how you spell Grayson. Like, it's,
To be fair,
it
like
is
some
that
other
way.
countries, I think spell gray with the E, but still.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is some of it. Yeah.
Still,
but
though, it's spell it with an A. Come on.
there we go. Spell it with an A. All
Is
right.
that next baseball show premium, JSU, or is it free too?
And I think it's free too. And I think they're going to roll in right when we roll out. So stay tuned for that, for all your DFS stuff. They'll have you covered there, breaking everything down, talking about all the lineups and salaries, their favorite pitchers. We got DC, we got Holden, we got Title coming on, and then we'll have the first look for the NFL week 6 after them.
I have one question
Yeah.
for NFL for you guys. Obviously I'm gonna take y'all's cores, but who's the best guy of his core I should be looking at?
JSU right there. Johnny.
Big T.
Yeah,
Don't even
I'm gonna
listen.
use both of y'all.
Don't even listen to this guy. Big T, follow his core, but then he also does a player pool, which is very helpful. But that's more for if you're building multiple teams. It can kind of give
How
you
many
an
teams
insight
you
to the
usually
guys
play when you
he's
do
playing.
like football on a Sunday?
Well, I've been using this optimizer I can just put in like the minimum and maximum exposure on each guy. And I'll build a player pool of like, I like to do like 3 main quarterback stacks. And then I'll
You're
just
like
do a
so
player
much
pool.
further along than you act like you are. Like you're so
like
much.
way further.
Well, I never
along.
went. I
You're
never
way
win.
more advanced than you
I
act
never
like
win.
you are.
So I obviously am not doing something
So
right.
we talk about it in all the videos that we do, but Tony does the best job of explaining like the optimizer because he's really good at using the optimizer because he practices playing multiple teams. But Tony, is there any just kind of quick insight before we jump out of here?
No,
about,
I'm going to work with
using
him on
it
the side. I'm
specifically?
going to get him to the winner's circle. I already told you it's my personal mission in life.
All right, we'll work together, Big T.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, guys, stay tuned for the next show. It's coming up. Thank you to Grayson. Happy
Appreciate
birthday
you
to
guys.
him
Thank you
for coming on with us. Big T, I'll see you later, buddy. I think we're doing another show later. So, guys, stay tuned for all the shows we got on this YouTube channel. Stay on because we'll be on for the next 4 hours doing shows. For me, JSU, Big T, Mr. Grayson, thank you very much for hanging out with us. We'll see you later. Simon, wrap us up.